Welcome to Scrapple TV.
There are few displays more appalling than the overt contempt Washington is showing these past few months for the citizens of the United States. I say United States because, for the time being, they still sort of are. But with a dying Gulf region, historically high unemployment, a crippled economy, and a foreign policy that should have top congressional leaders and the president sitting in the dock at The Hague, it's long past the time to question how long the center can hold. I'm sure lots of people are wondering, why have a government if its primary function is to steal your money and subvert the public interest? A raft of recent decisions inside Washington have made it clearer than ever that the ordinary person can go straight to hell for all your overlords in Washington care. Welcome to Collateral. Recently, congressional Republicans, along with a couple of reptilian Democrats, killed a much-needed relief package for Americans who are currently out of work. If the bill ultimately fails, almost 1 million people will lose unemployment benefits and millions more will be exposed to losing their jobs. About this bill, you have Republican shitbags like Mitch McConnell saying things like, quote, "Americans are frustrated with the amount of spending and borrowing around here. Let's not wave on through legislation that's going to worsen the deficit and dig an even deeper hole than we are in."
So the kind of spending and debt Democrats are engaged in which they're committed to continue year after year, is like nothing this country has ever seen. We've never seen anything like this. And it threatens not only the livelihoods of our children, it threatens our national security and the very safety net Democrats claim they want to protect.
You also have Democrats like Missouri's Claire McCaskill saying things like, quote, "This is not something that can go on indefinitely. Otherwise, it begins to look like a brand new level of entitlement program, which is something we really can't afford to do right now."
Beg your pardon? You don't trust me? Okay. I don't know what else I can do.
But do you know what can go on indefinitely? You know what we apparently can afford? Spending $150 billion a year funding 2 military occupations in which the U.S. is funding both sides. In fact, it's been going on for more than 8 years now, funding both sides.
Both wars have made the Middle East and the world much more dangerous for Americans and for any American presence overseas.
Terrorism has increased worldwide in the past 7 years, and we've spent a tremendous amount of treasure and blood to achieve a result of increased terrorism.
On June 7, 2010, the New York Times reported on an ongoing investigation it's doing. This investigation aims to prove that private security companies, quote, "are using American money to bribe the Taliban to fuel combat and thus enhance demand for their services." Private security companies like Watan Risk Management and Compass Security are suspected of using American money to bribe the Taliban, engage in fake fights on the roads in Afghanistan in order to create the impression that their services are needed, and staging attacks against their competitor companies who are fighting on the same side. This same week, Congress just rushed through $50 billion in new funds for this boondoggle, billions of which are going to flow to these private security companies and others like them. That Congress is all for. And when the home construction industry came calling for another subsidy to the tune of tens of billions of dollars, that passed right through as well. Why do you think we're hearing about this supposedly new discovery of $1 trillion worth of minerals in Afghanistan? For propaganda purposes. It's been known about for years. And it's not ours anyway. But the way the story's being reported, you might get the idea that it's a pot of gold or something that somehow justifies the war. It's sickening. In case you haven't had the pleasure of experiencing it firsthand yet, there simply isn't any money for your small business loan or for your community investment project. But for big banks, there is literally an unlimited amount of free money being borrowed at what amounts to essentially 0% interest to short stocks or make targeted investments in the market that reap millions in profits, but which does nothing at all to build the economy or stabilize the economy. Every loan granted by the Federal Reserve to a big bank is being insured by your money. They're getting loans at no cost to make millions in profits, and we, the people, are underwriting them for the real cost of that money. We get nothing for it. That money is supposed to be there to stimulate the economy, but it doesn't even find its way into the real economy. In short, the fix to the financial crisis has amounted to enlarging the scale of the scam and spreading the cost around to every already strapped citizen, state, and local government. In this summer of our growing discontent, it can't be ignored any longer. The financial elite are in charge now, full stop. Countries don't have the power to confront them any longer. The multinationals won and we lost. In real terms, what that means is debt slavery for the masses. And that's whether or not you have any credit cards and whether or not you pay your bills on time. If you're sitting there thinking, you don't have any debt, so it's not your problem, think again. You can't get out of this if you're a citizen of the United States. The national debt's there, and it's going to have to be paid off. And the way it'll get paid off is by the slow destruction of the state as a provider of anything but misery for the average person. Not going to get any services, not going to get any relief, you're just going to get misery. Misery in the form of a predatory IRS, misery in the form of local governments looking to raise money any way possible, parking ticket hawks circling your car just waiting for the minute it expires, misery in the form of fewer and fewer benefits at your place of work, misery in the form of higher and higher credit card rates, misery. When relief does come, it'll come mostly in the form of fake news. Want some of that $20 billion that BP has agreed to pay? You'll probably have to wait years to get any of it. Read the fine print. Quote, its preliminary terms would give BP several years to deposit the full amount into the fund so it could better manage cash flow, maintain its financial viability, and not scare off investors, unquote. You thought that fund was being set up for you, Gulf residents? It's for investors. You don't get anything that BP can't hope to recoup. Your needs don't matter. And you can be sure that any money residents do get ultimately will come with an ironclad guarantee that they can't sue for another penny, no matter what other health effects or economic woes from the oil gusher come down the line. And so as the U.S. continues its death spiral, remember that the military-industrial complex and the ruling elite fed like hogs at the trough all the way down, using your money to buy the last of the Gulf shrimp, as one commentator put it, while your own children went hungry. You didn't get asked, you just got taken.